Good morning, friends. Lorraine here from Lowe's Life and Lessons. I'm glad you're taking a few minutes from your day to join me. I'm getting ready for the day, and what I'm thinking about and want to share with you is some ideas about minimalism, about living a minimalistic lifestyle, about management of money, about being thrifty, looking for a bargain. Minimalism includes all kinds of approaches and philosophies, and there's so much information online about minimalism and people who have really adopted this lifestyle and are really dedicated to it. I was watching YouTubes of some of these people over the last few years, and I am amazed at the number of people who are really dedicated to this lifestyle, and I have to say, I do admire them. I think I'm a bit of a minimalist myself. I'm not sure that I'm that dedicated. In fact, I think I've been this way all my life without calling it anything in particular. But it's caused me to kind of look at the things that I do and the things that I hang on to and how I'm using all my material goods. So today we're going to just chat about that as I get ready. First of all, though, I want to share with you my scent of the day, which is Elizabeth Arden Bluegrass. This bottle that I have is a vintage bottle. This fragrance was created in 1936 by Elizabeth Arden, and it's a very unique fragrance. It has notes of lavender, lily, orange blossom, neroli, spices, cloves, bay leaf, rose, sandalwood, musk, and a few more. It's very complex. You can see by the color of this that it is a vintage. It's very rich. Now, a few years ago, I bought a current version, and in fact, the packaging is still quite similar. This little logo is the same, which is really quite charming. But I found that the scent of the newer version just lacked that depth and richness of this vintage one. This elegant, complex floral is my SOTD, and I love it. It's a warm day here today, so I have my window wide open, so periodically you might hear some wind chimes in the background. They're just tinkling away there, so don't be distracted by those. I won't say too much about the makeup products that I'm using today because I want us to just really focus on this minimalism, and I want to know from you, are you a minimalist, and in what ways do you practice this? First of all, I collect perfume, so I'm not a minimalist when it comes to collecting perfume. I have over 200 bottles of perfume. Now, many of these bottles are samples or smaller decants, but nevertheless, I have over 250. And I started this about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and the first few years, I really did go crazy buying a lot of perfume. And then I realized, well, this is ridiculous. I'll just never use all this up, and I just don't want to keep spending my money this way. So I kind of stopped. Now, I still do buy an odd bottle of perfume if it's something that I've heard about or that I particularly love, like my Virgin Island water that I just bought a few weeks ago. But anyway, so obviously I am not devoted to minimalism like some people are. But there are certain things that I've done all my life, like turn out the lights. If I'm finished in a room, I turn out the lights. And I think this is from growing up. This is what we did in our home. And I was pretty trained, I guess, to do that. And I always did it. I taught my children that it's a good idea to conserve energy, and if you're not in a room and you don't need the artificial light, turn off the light switch. It just kind of made sense. So that's one thing that I've always done. Another thing that I've started to do lately is to dilute my shampoo, conditioner, and body wash. The bottles that things come in are quite reusable, and it's the same with some of the containers you would get food in at the deli, at the grocery store. These containers can be reused, and so to go out and buy plastic containers for leftovers, I don't know, I just haven't done that in many, many years. I simply save those sour cream containers or those containers from the deli where you buy salad. I just save all those, and I save the lids, and I just reuse them and reuse them for years and years and years. And I think one thing is that I always picture these landing in a big landfill somewhere. It just kind of makes my heart sick to think of all this waste and all this plastic that will be sitting there for thousands of years to come because it doesn't decompose. What I find is that the shampoos and conditioners and some of the body washes, not all of them, I find that they are too viscous. Anyway, I mean, they don't need to be so thick and so concentrated. Some of you know that I also like to save bottles and jars from cosmetics or bath items. And because I just feel that they can be reused. And sometimes you can buy shampoo and conditioner in these absolutely huge, liter bottles, which I find too cumbersome to use on a daily basis in the bathroom. So I'll just take some of that and put it in a smaller bottle, and I might dilute it, maybe 2/3 of the product and 1/3 water. Shake it up, and I just find it much easier to use, and it goes a lot further. Years ago, I was thinking, these laundry detergents, they have quite a strong scent. So I thought, well, why am I using these dryer sheets? These dryer sheets are supposed to prevent static and impart a nice scent to the clean clothes. But I just found that my clothes had plenty of scent, and really I wasn't bothered by static. So I stopped using dryer sheets. But again, I didn't do any of these things to save the planet. I did it more just to be thrifty. And so I haven't missed those dryer sheets one single bit. And my clothes do not stick together, and they smell just fine coming out of the dryer. By the way, I cleansed my face this morning and applied my vitamin C serum, a little bit of moisturizer, and of course sunscreen. And that includes my face, my neck, and my chest. And all these products that I'm using today, I will list and link for you in the description box below. And that's another thing, I haven't been buying makeup lately because when I first started watching YouTube videos by content creators in this beauty community, of course I would just get all compulsive, and I would see a certain eyeliner or a certain eyeshadow palette that I just had to have. So away I went and bought all kinds of makeup. But now, of course, I have quite a stash of makeup. So, and it's not the purpose of my channel for me to review up-and-coming brand new products and present them to you. That's not what I'm about on my channel. So again, I like to use things that I have. I like to use them up. I had a hand mixer that I had when I was first married, when I was 22 years old. And that hand mixer served me for 40 plus years. Finally, the motor just died. But it worked just fine for all those years. And I have a can opener that's more than 20 years old. So there's no need to replace things just because they're not the latest and greatest. If things work fine, they work fine, and I use them until they don't work anymore. I live in a one-bedroom apartment. It's a good-sized apartment, but and I have a cat. So automatically that limits the number of knickknacks and even plants. At one time, when I lived in a house, I did have lots of plants. One time I was very devoted to my African violets, and I really enjoyed them at that time. But at this time in my life, in this apartment, I don't have a lot of furniture surfaces to even place things on, and I have 2 plants, and that's about it. And of course, I don't buy lilies of any kind because they are toxic to cats. And also, I don't buy cut flowers because, where am I going to put them? And wherever I find to put them, well, Oscar might, on purpose or by accident, knock them over. So I don't want that. You know that expression, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em. On these hot summer days, when I'm sweating, if I'm outside in particular, I like to add a little bit of a glowy look to my makeup. So I'm using this beautiful e.l.f. Satin Finish foundation, and I'm going to combine some of this illuminator. This is NYX Illuminator, and all you need is a tiny drop mixed in with the foundation, and it's going to give a little bit of a glow to the finished look. So we're going to do that now. Anyway, for the same reason, I don't have a Christmas tree. Now, I have a little, one of these old-fashioned ceramic trees with the little lights built in that stands about, maybe 10 or 12 inches high. That's my Christmas tree. That's all I have, just because I don't have a lot of room, and I just didn't feel the need for it. At one time, I would be traveling at Christmas time, so it wasn't really practical, or didn't make that much sense to have a Christmas tree if I wasn't going to be home and entertaining at Christmas time, because I'd be traveling. These little things that I'm talking about in random order. They make no sense in logical progression, because the next thing that comes to mind, and this is something that I heard from somebody, is that when I'm brushing my teeth, I simply turn off the water as I'm brushing. I mean, why let the water keep flowing when I'm just there brushing my teeth for 30 seconds or more, and that water is just going down the drain? You know, water is so precious. This is something I think in North America that we totally take for granted. We have running water, hot and cold, at our fingertips anytime we want it. Many places in the world don't have that. I think sometimes we need to appreciate our water supply and conserve it as much as possible. You know, one little person doing that is not going to make a huge impact on the future of the planet, but it's just the principle of the thing, and it kind of makes me feel good to do my own little bit. Years ago, I stopped buying books. Now, I used to belong to the library and take books out of the library regularly. I've always been a reader, so I always have a book on the go. But years ago, again, partly from lack of space, and partly because I feel that if I've read a book, then I don't need to hang on to it. I want to pass it on to someone else to read. So I never quite understood why people have these huge bookcases filled with books that they've already read. I mean, if they want to do that, of course, that's just fine. And no doubt some people do go back and read a book a second time. The only book I ever did that with was Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind. I love that book. So I don't buy books. I have a few that are keepsake or gifts that are very special in my dining room cabinet. But other than that, when I have a book, I give it to somebody else, or I borrow books from somebody else, or I borrow them from the library. One thing that I've always loved is bedding. Oh my gosh, I just love beautiful sheets, beautiful cotton blends, not so much the microfiber, but those beautiful Egyptian cottons. I love those sateen sheets that you can buy. And a few years ago, I bought some beautiful sets of sheets. And by the time I had, half a dozen sets of sheets, I mean, how many sheets does one person need? So I decided, well, enough is enough. And I have bed linen that I've had for many, many years. And because it is such good quality, it's lasted me just fine. And you see this quilt behind me, this blue and white quilt. That is my summer quilt. I can't even tell you how many years ago I bought that. At least 6 years ago, I'm sure. But I love that quilt. It's not worn out. I take good care of it. I keep it on my bed for the summer months, and then I have it cleaned professionally. And it wasn't an expensive quilt, but I love it. And so I keep loving it, and as long as I keep loving it and it stays in good shape, I'll probably have it for the next 10 years. This is She Glam Liquid Blush, and look how it looks on the skin. It looks pretty scary when I first put it on, but it blends just in a beautiful way. A few years ago, I was on a rampage of buying jewelry, and I bought quite a bit of jewelry, nice jewelry. I mean, not expensive, necessarily real gold, but certainly a lot of real silver, and I accumulated quite a bit of jewelry. So eventually, of course, I stopped. So you can see a pattern there. I get enthusiastic about things, and then I kind of go crazy for a while, and then I calm down. So anyway, I did buy all this jewelry, and look how that blends. It's just marvelous, and the color is so good for me. This bronzer, love it. So anyway, I have all this jewelry, but what I would do is I would wear the same pieces over and over again, and then so finally I had to recently go through everything and pick out some things that I had kind of forgotten about. And so I have them more accessible now, and I'm wearing them now. So it's like shopping my jewelry stash, really. I don't buy jewelry now, very seldom. I can't remember the last time I bought jewelry, except for maybe inexpensive earrings. I will buy earrings. I like variety in my earrings. But again, you know, that's something that I have plenty of, and I appreciate what I have. This is She Glam Liquid Blush, and this is a similar packaging, of course, to the bronzer. And again, I just need a little wee bit right there on top of that cheekbone, and it's going to blend right in. Another thing that I don't do, that I used to do more than I do now, is stockpile things. Sometimes you'll see a really good deal or a 2-for-1 deal, or you'll see a kit of, you know, 5 or 6 items, 3 of which you need and 2 that you really don't. And so I would just buy that and then put it in my linen closet for the future. But I kind of stopped doing that. That's kind of silly. I like to kind of buy things as I go. One thing that I really do object to is the use of bottled water. I never, ever buy bottled water. I have a Brita filter system that I've had for years, and I replace those charcoal filters when they need to be replaced, and that's what I use for drinking water or water right out of the tap. I don't buy plastic bags. I don't buy plastic garbage bags. Now, if I need a great big green garbage bag, of course I will buy those, but I seldom need those, actually. I just use the bags that I get my groceries in. And if I have to buy them from the grocery store, so be it. That's what I use. And then I can reuse those bags for my garbage. I do admire the principle of minimalism. And maybe we could all do just a few little things to be less attached to material things, to use and reuse things until they don't serve us anymore, and to just be a little more thrifty and a little more aware of our part in preserving the planet, to prevent that big pile of garbage from turning into a mountain that is going to be polluting our planet for generations to come. I'm sure that you have some good habits that you're in, and you may not even be aware, but you could be a bit of a minimalist yourself without even really knowing it. And do let me know the small ways that you are a minimalist. I'm going to finish my lashes off camera, put on a little lipstick, get dressed, and I'll be right back. Another area where I am a bit of a minimalist is in fashion. You know, I have t-shirts that are very old. I have camis and other types of layering pieces like cardigans that are pretty old. But you know, I take care of my things. My style is very conservative, so my clothes don't really go out of style. And I'm not like some of the other content creators who will do a fashion show or show you something brand new. Although I will say that this summer I decided to wear more dresses because they're cooler, and I don't know, I just felt a little more feminine put together wearing a dress. So this is one of my dresses that I bought from Amazon. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'd love to know how and if and in what ways you are a minimalist, and please share with me and with the other subscribers in the comments below. Do consider subscribing if you haven't already done so, and give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Take care, have a great day. I love you all, and I will see you next time.